Welcome to Draft for Upside. I'm Brewery Mark. With me is Jonathan Danger Cole.
That's me.
And we also have Kris from To La Roo with us back again for another podcast.
How's it going?
It's going great. So yesterday we tried to broadcast from your location. It was a little choppy, but we put it up there anyway.
Yes, I didn't get a chance to hear it, but I'll take your word for it, actually. I know
Yeah,
It
it
actually
wasn't too
turned out
bad.
way better than I thought it would.
Yeah. So we wanted to bring you back and give you an opportunity to talk a little bit more about what's going on at your restaurant. And I know you had some more stardom situm questions, so feel free to fire away.
Yeah, going back to the restaurant aspect, we have our Rich's Hat To La Roo Tap Takeover event style happening the Wednesday after Thanksgiving, which again I think is the 28th to be exact.
It is indeed. That's going to be a good time. Is there anything coming up before that?
Yeah, actually. This 15th upcoming, we have a event, another tap takeover, a little feature with Ellison Brewing in Lansing.
Yes. Is
That'll be
Benjamin
nice.
joining you for that?
Benjamin is joining us for that. We'll have one of his
What a good dude.
good guy, great guy, really funny guy as well. He's gonna have one of his amazing beers on tap, his bourbon barrel aged gravitational attraction, which is their
Ooh.
stout with marshmallows.
Oh man, that sounds
Yes,
good. That's the 15th, you said?
that is the 15th. Yep,
Was that Thursday?
Thursday, this
Thursday, yeah.
upcoming Thursday.
Hey, Mark, you want to meet me in Rochester on Thursday?
Yeah, I might just have to do that.
That
Come on,
sounds
guys.
fantastic.
First round's on me for sure.
I like it.
Yeah.
So we're also going to throw some nothing but nibs Night Fury your way for the week after, and I think we got to that in our talk yesterday, but that's going to be a fun event too, and hopefully your lovely chef is going to come up with some great items. So hopefully they took that beer home with them yesterday, and you didn't drink it all.
Yes, I did. Unfortunately, I had to pry it out of my hands because I wanted to have some more treat yourself in the blueberry lemon goza in my own house, but I had to let it go. It's funny enough that yeah, my chef, she doesn't drink at all actually.
Hmm.
So I had to bring back the last dinner we did. I had to bring back and kind of force her hand into the beer to just get a taste of it because she's a stickler about not doing anything along those lines. So she
Sure.
doesn't drink, she doesn't enjoy it. So
No, that's okay. But they've got you there, and I'm sure a few of the other
exactly.
people in the kitchen there that at least can get it on their tongue and get the flavors.
Yes, and that's where steps in actually her sous chef, which is becoming my go-to guys. Has quickly fell in love with craft beer at our place, kind of just dabbling with new things all the time. And actually, he's in charge of a lot of recipes back there. And we were just messing around the other day, coming up with some beer cheese, messing around, throwing a bunch of different beers that we can just to create with it. And he's kind of created a new love for that, kind of just combining the craft beer aspect with his food touch. So he's kind of taken a big step forward in this, which I'm excited to see. So he makes some great stuff.
Well, that's fantastic. Um, so yesterday after we left there, Mark, it's very preliminary, but we got some fun, exciting news yesterday, and nothing set in stone yet. But I know we heard about this after you, Kris.
Mhm.
That we've been invited to possibly be a brand new show on a brand new internet radio station. So
Well, congratulations. Yeah, Mark was mentioning that after you walked out, he got a little excited as we were finishing up our beers beforehand, and that's a big accomplishment, guys. It's one
well, heck
step
yeah,
forward.
and it's a good friend of mine in the industry, Lenny Melnick. He's a baseball expert, been around forever, and he's getting this new thing started. So hopefully, when we find out more, we'll share more. But that was fun, exciting news.
That's really cool. Yeah, I can't wait. Let me know. I'd
Ah.
Super
love
excited.
to.
So we didn't get to your full start and sit 'em questions yesterday. So why don't we go back to that, take a look at your lineup, and maybe you guys can help me with a couple of mine too.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a couple of my wide receivers are up in the air this week for sure. I think we mentioned a little bit yesterday how much I actually liked Andrew Luck this year coming back.
Hmm.
That I picked up T.Y. Hilton. So it's T.Y. Hilton and Alshon Jeffrey, both facing very stout passing defenses. Jacksonville and Dallas.
Hmm. Hmm.
So what
Well,
do you think?
I'll take the first lead on this, Mark. This is actually a question I've been arguing with one of the guys in my league right now, and he says Jeffrey's value has gone down with the addition of Golden Tate. I actually completely disagree with that. I think Tate will take over that middle section. And if anything, of course, Aguilar gets a huge bump down. And I actually think that even Zach Ertz might lose a few targets because Tate's going to be such a good force across the middle in those slot spots. I think it does nothing but add value to Jeffrey. I think Jeffrey's value goes up because it's one more guy that has to be covered and one more, long shot they can take down the field. So I'm a big Jeffrey fan this week. I want to see how that plays out, but this is a really good one. It's kind of 50-50. TY is on one of my teams too, and Luck has been tearing it up, and I am not scared of that Jacksonville defense. I'm not. So I don't know. What do you think, Mark?
Well, as far as the play goes, I would go with TY. I'm not ready to throw Jeffries in until I see what happens this week with Tate in the mix. But I do agree with your theory. I think this opens up Jeffries for more of the deep ball where Tate's going to work in that middle with Ertz. And Philadelphia is going to be an exciting offense once Tate gets in there full time.
If they had any kind of running game, that team would be even deadlier than last year.
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, I think I agree with you. I think I go TY this week. I know it's Jacksonville, but Luck has been on fire. I'm not terrible. They are at home in Indy. It's a really big toss up, but I lean TY Hilton, but I could be convinced the other way.
Okay, yeah, that's actually doing a little bit more convincing. I actually had Alshon starting initially because I agreed with both of your assessments. I think, if anything, Tate will pull more away from Travis Kelce and some of the inside guys because that's his bread and butter right there. He takes over that inside, and if anything, would open up and pull another safety over and took away from Alshon's over the top ability. But yeah, I'm gonna roll with T.Y. Hilton. I like you guys' thoughts on him. Only person on that defense that does scare me is probably the guy that will be guarding him. The rest of that, I think, is beatable, very beatable. So
yeah, I'm not worried about him at all.
And how about this?
Ramsey definitely has not been as shut down as he was last year. That's for sure.
Yeah, he's had some sparks. I know a couple of receivers, but he's been burned a lot for sure. Here's another one, big one, kind of last one. Ezekiel Elliott. What do you think about him this week? He's been up and down for sure. Only one game over 20, I believe, it was against Detroit. He's playing the 31st best rush defense for yards against Philadelphia.
Who would you play instead of him?
It's a big toss up. I mean, he's actually in my flex at the moment, just because of I got Tariq Cohen and Nick Chubb when great matchups going on. But again, he's always a week to week definite starter. It's just that his production hasn't necessarily been there, so that's the reason he's more of a question mark in the air. I think he's only had 135
Who
yards.
else is in that spot that you could put in the flex though, Kris?
I have Mark Ingram, Marvin Jones. I've got Alshon Jeffrey, Trey Burton on that aspect.
That's an interesting thing. I don't think I can take Zeke out of the lineup though, Mark.
No, I don't think so either. Not in this matchup.
I might even be able to be convinced to put him up where Cohen is and maybe entertain one of those guys instead of Cohen. But I think you go with all the running backs. I think that's what I would do.
Yeah, that's kind of been how I've been winning most of these games. It's just been interchanging the running backs in the air. They've been producing a lot for me, so that's why I usually keep the 3 in there. It's just unfortunate in the last 2 games his production has been down, so.
I'm not too worried about it. It's
only 33 yards.
Is the day he goes for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. That is absolutely a possibility. Like I said, was the more kind of crazier thought than anything to put his name up there.
Absolutely. Mark, you got any people you're bouncing back and forth in your own Susan Longs?
No, I really don't. I'm having a rough season-long year, so I'm just I just do my quarterback and defense streaming and just letting my draft rosters ride right now.
For sure. So I have one for you then. It's looking like Sony Michel is going to come back and be playable here versus Tennessee at Tennessee. That's a tough matchup, though, right? I mean, Tennessee, they gave up that first couple of drives to Zeke. Cooper from Dallas, but then they really kind of shut it down after that.
Yep.
And then the other guys I do have are Chubb and Johnson. You wouldn't put Michelle in for either Chubb or Johnson, would you?
No, I wouldn't.
No, I don't think so. Johnson's playing Kansas City. Chubb's playing Atlanta. I think the opportunity for scoring there is too good.
Yeah, and Tennessee, people don't think about it because their offense isn't doing so great, but they have, according to the Pro Football Focus, they're ranked 12th against the run.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty good. I mean, that's the upper third of the league. So I would rather play the other two who are playing defenses both in the bottom third of the league.
Yeah. All right, then here's my other only one I've been able to come up with here is at quarterback. Are you playing that Andrew Luck versus Jacksonville? Or are you playing Ryan Fitzpatrick at home against Washington?
I am playing Andrew Luck. He has just been so consistent over the last few weeks. I really see him putting up 3 touchdowns against Jacksonville this week.
I like it. That's what I like to hear, baby. And 2 of them to T.Y. Hilton, right, Kris?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm going for. Yeah, I agree with that. Totally. The Washington defense was pretty stout for the past few weeks up until playing out red hot Atlanta. So I think they'll come back to form as well as, like I said, I wasn't too scared of Jacksonville's defense. So
no, and Fitz is just too inconsistent. You don't know which one you're going to get, or you could possibly even get both. You could get 4 interceptions and 4 touchdowns. You just don't know. Play the consistent player.
it goes from Fitz magic to Fitz tragic quickly in a lot of games.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. I like that. Fitz tragic. I haven't heard that one yet. That's good.
It's been my my go-to forum for my roommate who's been living and dying by that hand, actually. I feel for him. So.
And Washington
I
is
like it.
Washington's dead center. They're 16th for passing defense, according to Pro Football Focus. Andrew Luck being an elite quarterback is going to be able to pick them apart.
So,
well, I guess I'm sorry, opposite. That's Fitzmagic, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jacksonville's actually ranked 12th against the pass, which isn't that bad.
Well, I think that's all I have for stardom situms for my groups.
I think I might have one last one. I don't know why I didn't see this in my other league. Edelman or Alshon? Last one.
Let's see. Let me look up those matchups real quick.
Yeah, Edelman versus Tennessee again. We were just speaking about, and then Alshon against Dallas.
I think I'm going Edelman here for me. I just think that Gronk is still beat up. He might not play again, so that center is all his. And I think Tennessee is very good in the red zone, but they're really good against the outside. They're really good against the run, but they kind of leave that middle open a little bit. I'm kind of still on the Edelman here. I know a lot of people are huge on Josh Gordon after his kind of a breakout week last week, so I apologize, Mark. I was wrong. I said he'd get cut before he played a meaningful game for New England.
Wow, that was a bold statement.
So some of the experts, they're 50-50. Some of them say, yeah, he's on the verge of a breakout. He's going to have another big game. Some of them say, it was just a flash in the pan. Don't worry about it. There's no consistency in New England. But I think, outside of that opening drive that Cooper, second drive, that Cooper played well against Tennessee there. It was a Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football. They really kind of held those guys in check. So I think that you're going to see more Edelman, less Gordon this week. So I'm on the Edelman out of this matchup.
Yeah. Now, Kris, is this a PPR league?
It's not standard.
Standard.
Well, that
league.
does change things.
Yeah. Because Edelman, if it's PPR, I'm 100% Edelman.
Mm-hmm.
True. Well, I think in a non-PPR that pushes the needle over to Jeffrey for me.
I think Jeffries has actually got a better chance of scoring a touchdown in this situation where Edelman will get targeted 15 times and catch 10 of them.
Mm-hmm. I think this is a clear, either or. I think in the PPR it's very clearly Edelman. In a non-PPR it's very clearly Jeffrey.
Okay.
Yeah.
That decides it.
Good questions. Very good questions.
Absolutely.
So we did a little bit of game breakdown, but I think we can go ahead and redo those. Because why not? So let's go ahead and start with that Detroit versus Chicago. Mark, you got the line set looked up over there, I'm sure.
Yeah, give me 1 second to bring it back up. I went into the premium stats.
Ooh, yeah. Well, I have a over/under of 44, and I have a Chicago being favored by 6.5 at the moment.
Yeah, and yeah, I hate Detroit in this matchup. I really do.
Yep, I'm right there with you, buddy.
Yeah, to say the least, I think.
This is back to my fantasy football theory of a few years ago, where you play everybody you can against Detroit. Their defense is a sieve right now. The only good player they have on defense is
Slay.
Yep, thank you. So
Yep, stay away from Allen
the
Robinson.
secondary receivers and play all the running backs.
Yep. Agree. Yeah, I mean, I would stay away from Allen Robinson. I would be all in on Trey Burton. I would be all in on either running back. I've got Howard already set up in my early lineups. I've got Chicago's defense where I can fit them in. They are the most expensive defense on the week on DraftKings. So, but I love them. I think this game has a chance of going under, and I think this game has a chance of being like 21-10 in favor of Chicago.
Yeah, and I think isn't Howard's pretty cheap this week, right?
Oh yeah, like 4,600, 4,900, something like that.
Yeah, I mean he's
under 5K.
He's going to be in 90% of my lineups.
Absolutely, and even if they get out to that kind of 21-0 lead kind of thing, they're just going to run the ball with him. So he's going to get the volume. I think that's a slam dunk. Speaking of over-unders, hey, how about that over on Pittsburgh and Pittsburgh covering?
Yeah, Pittsburgh covered everything on their own.
They did. Unfortunately, I only put one lineup in the showdown, so I went contrarian and I stacked Carolina instead. But I knew that was a risk going in. But did you pan out any of your showdowns?
No, I just missed it, and it's because Roethlisberger threw his touchdowns to 5 different players.
And I feel like if he didn't have CMC, then you weren't winning money because he got all 3 of the touchdowns for Carolina.
Yes, exactly. So, when I looked at it, the reason I was out of the money is because I didn't have Roethlisberger in the captain spot. All the people who cashed had Roethlisberger in the captain spot.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm sure they had Roethlisberger and CMC, and that was enough to do it right there. That's 8 touchdowns.
Right, exactly.
Oh, yeah, that was plenty. So anyway, so moving on to the next game on my list, I'm looking at New Orleans at Cincinnati. What you got on that, Mark?
So we have the over-under is currently at 54. And we have New Orleans favored by 5.5. So Vegas is saying this is going to be a pretty high-scoring game.
Mm-hmm.
What are we looking at? Three touchdowns each and a couple of field goals.
Yeah, I think I don't know how I feel about this. I think New Orleans is going to roll. I don't think it's going to be close, and Cincinnati is going to be missing AJ Green. I think this is a Mark Ingram game, and I think this is a Michael Thomas game, and I think that New Orleans rolls.
I think it'll be closer than that, just because it's in Cincinnati. If this was in New Orleans, I'd completely agree with you. But I think Cincinnati will keep it close at home. I'm looking for Tyler Boyd to have a huge game here. I will definitely have a Bengals stack with Tyler Boyd.
I don't know. I feel like it's almost a trap game with Boyd for me. I don't know if I'm going to invest too much in him personally. I get it. He's going to get the volume, but I think he also benefits his play by being opposite of AJ Green. And this is going to be the first time he's forced into the limelight. It's a big game. And I don't know, New Orleans defense has been all right. I mean, they gave up big against the Rams, but most of these games they're keeping the teams under 20. And it's a trap game for Boyd for me. I'm staying away.
I might throw my boy Uzuma in a few lineups.
I thought you'd never say that name again.
He's just so damn cheap.
Now, I love Michael Thomas a lot in this game. He is absolutely physically superior to the number 1 corner in Cincinnati, and it's a huge matchup for him. I think it's going to be an absolute stellar game. So I'm on Thomas in this game. I think Thomas is going to absolutely dominate.
What about Kamara? You prefer Ingram over Kamara?
I prefer Ingram over Kamara in this game. I do. just because I think they're going to control the clock. I've been wrong before. Here or there. It's happened.
Any opinion you have, Kris?
Yeah, I think with that scenario, I've tried to predict that as well with Ingram and Kamara. It's more of a crapshoot kind of the situational systems because there's times where they've been up multiple touchdowns and they still give it to feed Kamara and vice versa. I feel it just depends on the game scheme and the way it flows, how each running back is running that day. Sean Payton, it does not tie into either running back. I don't think he needs to have either one on the field, but Kamara is the more aggressive weapon, the more overhead threat. But I've been trying to guess that one all year myself, and it's been more of a crapshoot. So.
All right, so I think we have differing opinions. I think Danger, you think it's going to be a blowout, basically, and I think it's going to stay close.
Yeah, it will be.
I think about it depends on your definition of blowout. I think it'll be high scoring at both ends, and the Saints could still maybe end up winning by 14 or maybe even 17 at the end, just being too much firepower for Cincinnati to handle. Like you said, without AJ Green, Taj Boyd might get confused with having being the main guy out there. Who knows if he can produce under those pressures? But I do see it being high scoring though for sure.
Yeah. All right, where do you want to go next?
Let's see. Next on my list, I have the Atlanta Falcons versus the Cleveland Browns.
All right, I think this is going to be a fun game. We have Atlanta favored by 7 on the road, and over under of 50.5. So I don't know. Atlanta's defense is not that good. I kind of like Baker Mayfield in this game.
Yeah, I like Baker. I mean, they got a new head coach. They've got a new offensive coordinator. It'd be interesting to see how they come out and play. If that person gets them, was it Byron Leftwich over there? Is that him, or is that no? That's in Arizona.
That's Arizona.
Who's the Greg Williams took over as head coach, but who took over at offensive coordinator? I can't remember. I thought it was a name I'd heard
their
before.
old running backs personnel coach.
I thought it was a name I'd heard before, but I know that Greg Williams takes over, of course, the famous Bounty Gate defensive coordinator from the Saints a few years back. Interesting. I really thought it was strange that they let Todd Haley go. I thought that the offense really wasn't their problem, but I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. I think you're right. I think Baker Mayfield could have a good game. I don't know how sneaky that play is going to be because Atlanta has given up big scores. I think that this new coordinator is probably going to try to get Nick Chubb involved a little bit better. And I don't really like anybody in their receiving core. I think if Mayfield is going to be successful, it's going to be a lot of Duke Johnson, a lot of Chubb, and a lot of spreading it around.
Yeah, so Atlanta is the 6th worst defense in the league right now, and 6th worst against the run. So that tells me that we're going to see a lot of Nick Chubb.
Yep. I can agree. I could see this game. I could see this game going over, and I could see Atlanta covering. So it'd be an interesting game. They'd have to go. Gosh, it'd have to be like 35 to 20 at least 21. For them to cover and cover that spread.
Yeah, I noticed this week Vegas has kept all the over-unders right around 50. So I wonder if they're trying to induce some bettings after all the high scoring last week.
Sure. Yeah, wouldn't surprise me at all.
So Kris, do you think Julio Jones can score another touchdown this week?
Do I think so? Yes. I think the monkey's off the back for sure. He doesn't have to kind of force that situation. I think he can go out there and just kind of play the game a little bit more. I also think that they've been bringing Calvin Ridley back, trying to involve him a little bit more into the game plan, as well as Austin Hooper. So they've been bringing all these guys along to open it up a little bit more for Julio. So
see, Kris, I didn't even pay
can.
Kris to say anything about Austin Hooper. Everybody just knows he's awesome because that was my preseason pick for breakout player. See.
Always-
I had him. I did some pickups with him throughout the season when I had some buys and very very iffy states and just kind of a great match of plays with him. And I produced a lot of him in my season long. So I have a lot of respect for him. And again, that arm, Matt Ryan, he's not consistent every year, but he can do damage. So
Yeah, I think Julio is ready to rock again, man. I think this they're trusting him again in the red. Not that they don't, but they tend to weirdly go away from him in the red zone.
Yep.
But I think he can do it again. I think another 100 yards and a touchdown is in his future. I have no problems putting a Matt Ryan and Julio Jones and Tevin Coleman together.
Yeah, and speaking of Tevin Coleman, last week, 60 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. Does he repeat this performance, or do you think it's more of a Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley type of game?
No, I love Coleman in this matchup. He's got a great matchup. The Browns are terrible against pass catching running backs, and I think he's got a chance to be perhaps the highest scoring position player on the team this week.
Yeah, and to give it a little background, Cleveland against running backs is the second worst team in the league.
Absolutely. Yeah, the reason why they rank decently against the pass is because people don't need to pass on them. That's why.
Right.
So who would you take out of the 2 Cleveland running backs this week?
Oh, Chubb,
Speaking of
100% Chubb.
Really?
I think they're really trying to push Chubb and to see what they got out of him.
Okay. I agree. I think Chubb is almost a more aggressive, more explosive back. I'm just very surprised that they've been not throwing to him out of the backfield instead of using Duke Johnson.
Well, yeah, I mean Duke's that's been his role forever, so it's not too big of a shocker. And they've traded away and injured some of their wide receivers. So Duke actually has been in the slot receiver spot quite a bit in the last couple of weeks.
Okay, I didn't know. That makes a lot more sense on his passing production.
I know yesterday we were talking briefly about Kittle. I was just looking through tight end stats, and in a standard PPR style Yahoo league, he's number 3 on the season in tight ends. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's Travis.
In a year of really crappy tight ends.
Absolutely.
Yeah. As well as having was it 3 different quarterbacks to throwing to him already this season?
Yep, yeah. 3. Yeah, I actually like Mullins again this week. I did not take him in any of my Thursday through Monday games, but probably throw another showdown in since that's my team and I'm going to watch them anyways.
I'm going with your team's defense this week. I know after a few little talk, they've been pretty solid. So looking to see what they can do.
I mean, the Giants, they have the ability to put up a bunch of points, but their offensive line is just so bad. And the 49ers actually got 6 or 7 sacks last Thursday. So.
All right, so moving on, a game that we briefly touched on earlier when we were talking about stardom and situms, Jacksonville at Indianapolis. We have Vegas is saying an over-under of 46.5, and Jacksonville favored by 2.5.
Well,
No,
I've got Indianapolis by 3 on my list.
Yeah, Indianapolis 2.5 right now.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I think this is an indie game. I'm loading up. I mean, I like Jack Doyle to be more involved. I think Ebron's days of dominating that position for them are over as long as Doyle's healthy. So, I mean, a contrarian play, really, luck. Ty Doyle playing against this Jacksonville defense. I don't mind throwing that in a GPP at all.
No, and I think you could play luck in a cash lineup too. But I really like it for a GPP here, and I love TY in this situation. Where is my stats? There we go.
Yeah, on the other side of that ball, I guess Fournette's supposed to be back here.
Yes, they're saying supposedly he's been practicing to come back. I don't know if they cleared him or guaranteed he's going to be playing, but I don't see them sitting him if he's good to go.
Yeah, I had high hopes for that running back position there. I didn't draft Fournette anywhere, but I had Yeldon, and I actually had Hyde in like 4 out of 6 leagues to start the season because I got him, as my 4th running back. He was tearing it up in Cleveland for me, and now I'm pretty much convinced I'm going to drop him this week.
Yeah, it's crazy how quickly that changes.
He led the league in touchdowns for the first like four weeks of the season, and now he's literally droppable.
Yeah, he was an automatic start. I remember that because I was very much in awe as well.
I don't like anything on the side of Jacksonville. Indianapolis' defense has been pretty good. Bortles is, of course, terrible, and every one of his receivers is a hit or miss every single week. And I'm not trusting Fournette back, Gimpy, and then you can't trust Yeldon or Hyde because if Fournette plays even half the game, you get no value out of those guys. So I have absolutely no interest in a single player on Jacksonville in season long. I don't like them in DFS, cash, or GPP.
Yeah, and Indianapolis is somewhat surprising. They're ranked 10th against the run so far this year. So I am with you. I'm gonna fade all Jacksonville and I like Ty, Luck, and some Doyle.
And even though I do like those guys and I am willing to play them, I actually think this game goes under, and I think it's like 21-10 Jacksonville, or I'm sorry, Indianapolis.
Any hope for Marlon Mack this week?
I mean, yeah, Mac's all right. I wish that they would just kind of give him the ball some more to be a little bit more consistent. But nah, man, I like Luck here. I don't see them beating up on the ground all that much.
I agree. All right. Miami at Green Bay. And we have a 47 over under in Green Bay favored by 10 currently. Is this a comeback game for Aaron Rodgers?
Well, yeah, I think so. I think definitely. I mean, Green Bay doesn't really have that running game. Aaron Jones has been good. I think Miami's decent against the run, are they not? I literally have not watched the Miami game this year.
Now, Miami's defense has not been that great this year, but let's see.
I mean, obviously the Packers have to win to keep any kind of hope to keep up with Minnesota or Chicago for that matter. And I mean, yeah, it could be a statement game. They could go out there and just absolutely kill Miami.
Yeah, Miami's 17th against the run, and and 24th overall. So they're kind of a middle of the pack defense.
Yeah, I like Aaron Rodgers a lot in this game. I think he has the possibility to throw four touchdowns easy.
What were you going to say, Kris?
I was say something similar on those lines. It's hard to trust anybody against Aaron Rodgers, even though Miami had an amazing outing last week against the Jets. They only let them put up 6 points. They had 4 interceptions against them, 4 sacks, and a touchdown against the Jets. Again, I highly doubt that would ever happen against Aaron Rodgers, but it was a stout showing from their defense last week.
So I think one of the kind of chalky plays this week is going to be Valdez-Scantling. Do you guys have any opinion on whether to play him or not? I think Devontae Adams is Rodgers' #1 target, but Valdez-Scantling looked like he's going to be #2 this week.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously know I love Valdez. I called his breakout game, so I've been riding that high all season. And but I have seen a lot of talk of Cobb being possibly fully active for the game as well, and that's going to hurt Valdez-Scantling's value a little bit. And I do think you're right. I think he was a big pickup on the waiver wire if he wasn't already owned, and I think that people are going to be excited to play him. But if Cobb's playing full time, that's going to hurt him.
Yeah, 100% agree with that one as well. I think it's Cobb dependent. Scanley did amazing last week, but I think all 110 yards were on 3 catches, all in the second half too, I think. So it all depends on where that gameplay goes. If Cobb's in, if he has people to spread the ball to, I don't see those numbers necessarily happening again. But again, if he's not in there, it's another weapon for Rodgers. He can get the ball in anybody's hands who can catch.
Yeah, I'm looking up Cobb's latest status, and looks like they're saying he had a setback at practice today, so he may not play.
There we go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'd fire him up. I mean, why not? I don't. We'll take a look at pricing here a little bit when we get into that. But if he's not overpriced for what he offers, but Kris, you're absolutely right. Scanling's never going to be a guy that gets 7, 8 targets. It's just not going to be that way. He's going to get 3 or 4 targets, maybe 5, and he's going to take one of them long. And that's what you're going to get out of him. You're going to get 2, 3 catches for 70, 80 yards and hopefully a score. And that's his kind of ceiling right now in that offense.
Yeah, that's I think he's got he's 5.4K in. No, that's FanDuel. Let me see Draftkings. Less, I think, in Draftkings.
Yeah, usually a little bit less.
Yeah,
yeah. I like him, but
a great value. Great value play. Yeah, 5 even. He has the potential, score a touchdown, or just get another 100 yards. So yeah, that's a great play. I think.
I absolutely like him. I just think that people need to temper their expectations. They're only going to throw the ball away 4 or 5 times tops.
Yeah. I do think they won't be a big 30-point outing. I think 21. Maybe tops 21, 24. I think I see from Aaron Rodgers. I think they're going to try and run the ball. Aaron Jones has been really good. I think they're going to try and get something effective going. They hate having to make him do all the work, and I think they might be able to run the ball a little bit more against Miami.
Final thoughts on that, Mark?
No, I agree with you guys on the Packers, and as far as Miami goes, I don't really see playing anybody on Miami. I think I'll be fading them all through DFS.
I actually love Kenyon Drake, but they have some weird just desire not to give him the ball.
Oh yeah, his talent is insane. And when they do use him, he does great. But yeah,
he's the perfect guy to play against Green Bay's defense too.
Yeah,
I just can't trust him to get more than 12 touches.
They have some notion that they're bringing Frank Gore back to life. And he's had some sparks, but I don't know if that's the way to go with a rebuilding team at all.
Right. So the next game here on my list, Mark, is Arizona at Kansas City. I've got that over under at 49.5, and I've got Kansas City favored by 16.5. Do you think Kansas City wins this game 49-0 and bakes up all the points?
No, Kansas City always gives up a little bit, especially at the end when they start playing their bench.
It's true.
Yeah,
they are home, and they have been playing better defense lately. And I love Kansas City as my fantasy defense of the week for a pickup if you've got them on the waiver wire or if you're playing them in DFS. I do think this is an opportunity again for David Johnson to maybe play some good ball. Like we said, he's got a new offensive coordinator. The problem is their quarterback play has been terrible and their wide receiver play has been terrible, so they haven't had anything to keep the focus off David Johnson. But I like all Kansas City players. Looks like Watkins is banged up again.
Yeah, he's been banged up. I think he's trying to come back this week, though.
But yeah, I mean, Mahomes, you got to play him. Hill, Hunt, you got to play him. Got to play them all.
Yeah,
they'll be very, very chalky in DFS.
Yeah, well, I think Mahomes will actually be fairly low owned because he's currently the highest priced player in DFS, so he's going to be hard to sneak into some lineups. I'm not a fan of Tyreek Hill in this game either. I'm kind of leaning more towards Kelsey, so maybe a Mahomes Kelsey stack.
Yeah, I don't like much on the other side. I do like David Johnson. His price is still just too low for the ability the man has. So I never mind throwing him in the lineup at all. He has the ability to absolutely bust a game open. Christian Kirk, if you need some salary relief, is fine by me too. Kansas City's defense is not good. They've played better at late, but they are still beatable.
Absolutely.
Where are we going next?
Well, let's see here. How about probably the most boring game on the slate?
Let me guess. Buffalo and New York.
Yes. So we have an over-under of 36.5. and the Jets favored by 5. So this is going to be low scoring. Should we fire up kickers? Oh wait, they don't play kickers anymore.
I believe they are playing Josh McCown up there at quarterback. Any interest in him at all as a flyer in a GPP?
Well, no.
No, I'm with you.
They don't have any receivers to throw to. It's both these teams are just their rosters are barren. They need to like just start over, just
Sure.
implode everything.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Buffalo travels well, obviously, to the Jets stadium. So would you be shocked if there was more blue in that stadium than there is green?
No, I wouldn't be at all.
So it's interesting. Buffalo's defense is, serviceable. It hasn't been awful, and they've come up with some big games. Their problem is they're just so anemic on the offense. There's just nothing they can do about it.
Yes, what do I got here? So the Jets are the 5th worst defense in the league right now.
But you got LaShawn McCoy, who's had 85 carries on the year for 267 yards for a grand average of 3.1 yards per carry.
Yeah, he's done, isn't he?
He's so done. Absolutely terrible. And on the other side, though, you got Isaiah Crowell at 107 carries for 533 yards for just shy of 5 yards per carry. So, interesting. There could be a couple of players in this game I might fire up.
Where is Buffalo's kind of dead center on defense? 18th and 18th against the run. So yeah, that wouldn't be too bad. Sam Darnold looks like the rookie he is.
Got a bad ankle. He's got a bad ankle right now, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Crowell ends up playing. Yeah, Darnold's not playing. It's McCown.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, McCown's in this week.
So we got Nathan Peterman versus McCown. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Great. Maybe Derek Anderson. Though that sounds even better, doesn't it?
It might be firing up defenses.
Right.
That's I'd say the only bright side to this. Maybe some spark on the Jets running back side, but other than that, yeah, nothing exciting me too much.
Yeah, might take a flyer in one of these defenses and hope they get a couple of picks or something.
Yeah.
Washington at Tampa Bay. I got a 51 over under, and I got Tampa Bay favored by 3, which they're at home, which means Vegas thinks it's basically a coin flip game. I mean, yeah, we talked about this a little bit. I don't mind Fitzpatrick. I'm not looking for another 400-yard game out of him. I don't like Humphreys as much in this one. I think he's going to get a lot of attention because of how good he played. I like a guy like Deshaun Jackson a little bit better this week, personally. On the other side of the ball, been so tough. Washington wide receiver, it's been kind of a throw a dart at it every week, and none of them really are doing any good. I kind of like a little bit of Vernon Davis this week as a very, very sneaky salary saver in DFS. But that's really kind of it on that game. I don't know. I mean, you can flip a coin. Maybe OJ Howard is great. Maybe Brait gets some play from you if you want the very low end tight end on the week.
Yeah, I like the Deshaun Jackson call. Humphreys is probably going to be highly owned this week just because of recency bias. And I'd rather go back to Deshaun. And I like OJ Howard. And on the flip side, I'll have a few lineups where I throw Adrian Peterson in.
Yeah, Vernon Davis. I haven't heard that name in a while.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan Reed has not been as good, even though he's been mostly healthy. And Vernon had a pretty decent game last week, and game flow might go that way again. I mean, I definitely don't suggest him for anything other at all than you want to put some bigger names in your DFS lineup and you need some salary relief. Him and Brait are both at the bottom of the barrel. And so either one in this game is a great salary relief, and just to punt the position and hope you get, 5-6 points out of them.
And I also heard you say something about Adrian Peterson. Do you think this is a 20-point week for him?
It's tough, but he's the only running back there right now. Kris Johnson's hurt again. So.
The problem is that Tampa is just a passing funnel. So I just don't understand any game plan that puts.
Alex Smith can't throw the ball.
I know he can't, but also that's where they're super weak, and I just don't see Peterson getting the opportunity to get that 18 to 22 carries he needs to be that productive.
I hear that. I feel if they win, it'll be that route. They will have to go that route. But and the likeliness it's going to be a tossing bout by Tampa Bay getting the best of them.
Yeah, I'm staying away from this game unless you're looking for
Yeah.
salary relief, to be honest. Getting some of the low end guys. So the last 1 o'clock game of the week is New England at Tennessee. You got of course, you got the legendary coach versus his former middle linebacker, right? Vrabel's coaching that team now.
Yep.
So I think he played a really masterful hand against Dallas. I think that he showed that he can change his game script mid-game. And I don't like the talent on his team. His defense is pretty solid. He needs some upgrades on his offense, obviously, but he's got some players there. I mean, if Mariota can develop at all into a serviceable quarterback, Deion Lewis and Derrick Henry are both serviceable, decently young talents there. I mean, Corey Davis has been unspectacular, but very steady as a kind of wide receiver 2 all year long. They've got a decent team. Do I think they have any shot at beating New England? I do not. But I'm not afraid to play Corey Davis as a very low end play on that side.
I think I put some stock into Deion Lewis as well, just because I see them getting behind and just throwing him the ball to the backfield a lot. Not really being able to pass it on them, but I see him getting a lot of numbers that way. But yeah, I don't see them beating.
Yeah, and New England's actually on my list as a DFS defense this week as well.
Yeah, and surprisingly, if you look at projected ownership numbers, Tennessee is predicted to have the highest ownership in DFS this week.
As a defense?
Really?
No, they're players. Mariota, Deion Lewis, and Corey Davis are all double-digit owned.
I think people are outsmarting themselves.
Yeah. I think they're thinking too little of New England's defense.
Yeah, right now, Corey Davis is 25% owned on FanDuel.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's crazy, and that's what I said is that they do. New England's not great at shutting down the pass, and I think he's going to be their head target, of course. But I don't know. I kind of like New England's defense in this one. I like Edelman, like we talked about earlier. I think Gronk probably misses another game. I like Josh Gordon fine. I haven't really decided between Sony Michel and White. I really hate when you got a guy like Sony Michel who's capable of being a workhorse horse, semi-injured going into the week, because I'd like to just pick one or the other. But I do like James White a little bit more in this matchup, and I've got him in almost every season-long team that I have, and I like him a lot, and I'm probably going to play some DFS with him as well.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be fading Tennessee with these ownership numbers. I think people are just going with the recency bias of how they treated Dallas last week, and yeah, so I'm gonna fade them in 90% of my lineups. I always have a little sprinkling, but
we have to remember too that the coaching staff in New England is makes the coaching staff in Dallas looks like JV football.
Yeah,
the coaching staff in Dallas is just so bad. It's painful to watch them play football. It just is. They have extremely talented running back, a pretty good defense, a nice young quarterback who's not great, but I think he can do it if he had any kind of coaching staff teaching him. They're so bad. I mean, to have Troy Aikman come out publicly and say you got to get rid of the whole, organization, it's bad. It's bad.
Yeah, and I don't want to get off on too big of a tangent here, but have you ever noticed that Scott Linehan, who was coordinator for Minnesota when Randy Moss was there, he was coordinator for Matthew Stafford's first few years when he had the record-breaking seasons, and he's been in Dallas forever, but all of his offense is like totally kick ass for like 2 or 3 seasons, and then they tank. I don't know why.
Not only that, but I think when you look at all those teams, he struggled making halftime adjustments. Always. His offenses always have 2-3 great quarters, can't finish a game.
Yes, that's true.
And even in Minnesota, when he was up there, I mean, that was the same problem. That was the reason why Minnesota missed out on the Super Bowl to Atlanta. They just couldn't close it out. and I think he's predictable. So I think he lasts a few years and he does a good job and he's good enough, but people figure him out and he has no ability to change game script and change it up in the second half.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. All
Well,
right.
that was all of our 1 o'clock games. What do we got left for 4 o'clock?
4 o'clock games. Let's see here.
We got Chargers at Oakland, another high-scoring affair with a big point spread for the Chargers, favored by 10 on the road.
Yeah, and a 50-point over under. So you're looking at 4 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think you play Melvin Gordon for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yep, I think that Melvin Gordon's a great play. I like Phillip Rivers. I like Ty Williams is really starting to tear it up. I think maybe, just maybe, Keenan Allen gets his first touchdown since week 1. Maybe. He's got the Julio Jones effect going on right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a big week last week. I think it was 154 yards total, I think, with 30
absolutely.
yards rushing.
He continues to be an absolute stud. He just he can't score a touchdown.
No. Which is, I guess, a good thing to say to Phillip Rivers, because he's usually only keyed in on Allen and nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of been passing the ball around, which is going back to, I actually like Phillip Rivers a lot this week. I think he has 19 touchdowns and only 3 picks this year. I don't know who that man is, but I haven't seen him in a long time. But I'll stick with that and run it, because like I said, he's passing the ball around all over the place, checking down to Melvin Gordon, which again is a big factor, and then spreading the ball around like crazy and not throwing bad passes. So I like him a lot this week, actually. So him,
I'm a
Melvin
big
Gordon,
fan of
and
Rivers. I like pretty much everybody there. I'd even play Mike Williams for salary relief. I like them all.
Yep, yeah, I can see that as well.
So Oakland is 6th worst defense against the rush. This is one of my favorite stats when I look at defenses. They are the 4th worst team for tackling.
Nice.
Yeah.
So a lot of arm tackles that running backs and receivers break through very easily. And they're the 2nd worst defense for pass rushing. So they don't get to the quarterback very often. So I think you can lock and load all the Chargers here.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is they don't do much.
And that's why I like Keenan Allen to score this week, because Keenan Allen is one of those guys that just sheds tackles. He's very good at it. And if they can't tackle, then he might actually break a play or two.
Yeah, his yards after carry is what made him who he is, for sure. So
So is there anybody on Oakland anybody's willing to play?
I mean, you could take a peek at Jalen Richard. You could.
Yeah.
Take a peek his way. You could take a peek at Jared Cook. But that's it. Those are the only 2 guys I like.
Yeah, I mean, maybe in like another one of those, Hail Mary Jordy Nelson games, just because he's 5,000. Again, they have nobody to throw to. So if anything, if they are going to get production, it's probably going to be through him or Cook. But I would not play that unless you're stranded.
I agree. I think I will have 0 Raiders in any lineup. So.
Yep. Now I definitely like the Charger side of this, of course.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a very popular stack too. So.
Oh, I think so. Yeah, I think so. But I think that's okay. I think especially in the cash game, it's absolutely fine. Their salaries are so low. Rivers is such a cheap quarterback to play every week. It's hard to not throw him in cash lineups, to be honest.
Okay, so one of the marquee matchups of the week, at least in my mind, Seattle at the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
This is a 50 over under, and the Rams are favored by 8.5.
Yeah, I mean, it's going up. It's the Rams. The last time I looked was 9.5, so it's hovering real high. The Rams are pissed off about losing the game, right? You think they come out here and just blow it up?
I do. I think they're gonna. I think the close. I'm gonna take the over and the points on the Rams.
Yeah, I think so. I absolutely agree. I think the Seattle's offensive line is not good. I think the Rams' defensive line is extremely good, and they're going to struggle, and the Rams are going to have their way. I like Robert Woods a ton in this game, absolute ton in this game. I think the strength of Seattle's defensive backs is actually their nickel guy. in their linebacker. So I think that you're going to see Cooper Kupp struggle a little bit, and he's back from injury, and people are going to be on him because he's been kind of like the go-to guy for Jared Goff. But I think he actually has the toughest matchup. So I like Cooks and Woods a lot more this week.
Yeah, I agree for 100%. I don't think Seattle has any sort of definition in their offense. They don't have any sign of running or passing. All they really have is hoping Russell Wilson just does miracles, to win games now. So I don't think they can do anything to a very, very upset Rams team that had a chance at winning last week and staying undefeated. So
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think Vegas is off on this. I don't think Seattle's going to put up 21 points. They might get to 17, but I think LA is just going to cremate them.
Yeah, definitely. I'm firing up all my Rams.
All right. And I think that puts us into the Sunday night game. Did we want to switch over to Draftkings and do a main slate lineup, or do you want to preview these last two?
Well, let's finish it out. You got Philadelphia at Dallas. We talked about it a little bit. We get to see the premiere of Golden Tate in that lineup. I think his routes are going to be kept kind of simple. I just my gut feeling. I don't know. I have no idea what their playbooks are comparatively to Detroit's, but Golden Tate's been around a long time and he's a professional, so I think he'll be active. I think he'll be targeted. But I think it's going to be a lot of slants. It's going to be a lot of underneath passes. It's going to be a lot of quick outs to him. I do believe Alshon Jeffrey benefits from them having to cover Tate. I don't know if I'm in the minority in that, but I feel strongly about it. I think Alshon Jeffrey has a big game for this.
Yeah, I agree with you. Jeffries is probably the only player I like on the Eagles side this week, well, other than Ertz. But yeah, and Ezekiel Elliott's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I'm not really going to touch the Cowboys in DFS.
Yeah, Zeke gets the ball. I'm not too worried about that. And Philadelphia's defense hasn't been spectacular, so you could see Cooper get a little bit more play again. But yeah, I mean, I like Philadelphia. It's a big game. It's a division game. Philly's trying to claw back into major contention, and I just like Philly in this game quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm just the over under is only 43, so I think it's going to be pretty low scoring. There's a chance of snow coming out here.
Mm-hmm.
It's in Philly. I know they're predicting snow in New Jersey, so it might get snow in Philly too.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is going to stay a pretty low scoring game.
Yeah, I'm not terribly on it for any kind of DFS purposes. I did a few Monday through Thursday through Monday lineups, and I don't think I played a player from this game. Zach Ertz just too expensive.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's with the tight ends. There's only a couple good ones, and they're all just outrageously priced.
Absolutely. And then the final game, the Monday night game, we'll maybe do a showdown preview for this later. So we'll skip that. You'll have to tune back in to hear about Monday night.
Yeah, just really quick. It's John's favorite team.
That's right.
The Giants are at the 49ers. We had the 49ers favored by 3.5 with an over under of 44.5. So pretty low scoring game comparatively.
Yep. I don't buy into it at all. I think the 49ers offense is humming a little bit. I don't think the Giants have much to do about it. And of course, the 49ers defense is kind of sucky. So if they can stave off the pass rush, the Giants have a chance to put up some points. But I do like Barkley. And I do like OBJ because you have to. But the 49ers do have a chance to put a hurt on them because their offensive line is so bad they could get some sacks.
Yeah, we'll do a full breakdown of this game Sunday night or Monday morning, and we'll do our captain showdown preview.
And maybe some reactions from week 10.
Yeah, exactly. So, Kris, any last thoughts on any of the games on this week's slate?
Not entirely. I'm excited more to kind of see that showdown in Dallas and Philly. Want to see what they offer each other. Like I said, it's always a good divisional rivalry matchup. I don't see it being too crazy, but it should be a smash mouth game. And just excited to have Sunday off watching football, man. That's my one thing looking forward to every week for sure.
All
I
right.
love it. I love it, Kris. And I know you haven't been playing much DFS this year, so we'll let you get out of here. I know you have to prepare to go to work for Friday night, and Mark and I will finish it out. Thank you so much for being on the show. And I'm honest, I might come out for to try that Allison beer on Thursday.
Yeah, it should be a good showing. I think it's one of my favorite ones. Besides, actually, yours. Honestly, you got me really excited for that one with the Cocoa Nib Night Fury. So that should be good.
That
It should be
is.
a good one either way. And actually, I think I'm gonna get back into this DFS. You guys got me back excited about it. Looking up at all stats and talking about it a little bit more. So I might have to
Yeah.
put my hand
If
back
you have
into it this week.
time, if you have time, you can hang out and help us build this lineup. It's up to you.
I do got to start getting ready for work in a second. So, but I will actually will love to hear your lineup though. So if you don't mind shooting me a text, and I would like to hear, and we'll talk about it a little bit that way. But I do have to take off,
For sure.
unfortunately.
Yeah, we'll have it posted before the game starts, so you'll be able to hear everything we're talking about.
I like
And
it.
you have both of our phone numbers now in that group chat, and feel free to shoot us questions anytime, any place. Thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for inviting me, guys. Do it anytime, you guys. Do plan another one out before the event sometime, maybe.
Okay. Sounds great. Thanks, Kris.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
And that was Kris, the bar manager and beer director from To La Roo in Rochester.
Okay, Draftkings, week 10. You want to build a cash lineup or a tournament lineup?
Well, I usually start with cash personally.
All right, well, let's do it. I think this is a week where we can get some value quarterbacks. So do you want to start like with running backs?
Sure. Let's take a look at running backs and see how it stacks up. So let's me scroll down here, get my game open so I can save it. There we go. All right. So looking at running backs here, Todd Gurley's probably not my favorite this week. Seattle's front defense is decent. They rank 14th against the rush. And it's still $9,400 for this guy. I mean, he's got to score like 38 to even make it worth the while. And I just can't get behind it this week. I don't think the defense is lax enough for Todd Gurley to be a 38 to 40 point running back this week.
Yeah, I'm torn on it. I don't mind to fade it. But you know, Gurley's been that kind of must-play cash player this year. So,
He has, but that
I'm good with it.
9,400. I mean, you got to get 30 points just to get value, right? You have to get 30
Yeah.
points just to make it worth the while, which means you have to get like 35, 36, 37, 38 for it to be any kind of payout at all.
Yeah, it's a matter of chalk. If you don't play him, you're going to be in the lower 50%. If he bombs, then you're in the upper 50%.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, I think people are going to be off him this week. I think the price tag and the matchup are not great. And I think that you'll see a little lower than normal. And you got Melvin Gordon right below him, scoring just shy of what he's scoring. Let's see, Gurley's averaging 30 points a week, and Melvin Gordon's averaging 28 points a week. And he's just got a choice matchup against Oakland.
Yeah, I really like Melvin Gordon this week. He's my number one high-end running back that I would put in.
Absolutely. My two high-end guys are him and Kareem Hunt. As I talked earlier, Kamara obviously is a stud player, but I just have this feeling it's a Mark Ingram game.
Okay, I can get behind that.
I do. So, my top end guys are probably Gordon and Hunt. Mixon, he's okay, but I'm just kind of off Cincinnati's offense because they don't have to account for AJ Green. James White's all right. I told you I already like David Johnson. Those kind of the guys from the 7,000 range. That's it. I like David Johnson if you need to save some money, but my top two guys are Gordon and Hunt.
All right, you want to try and squeeze Gordon and Hunt into a lineup?
Yeah, just see what happens.
Yeah.
That's a lot of salary tied up in running back, so we'll see what we're able to pull off.
Yeah, so we're going to have to go mid to low range on the wide receivers, I think.
Yeah, and I think what we should do is skip down to defense and tight end and see what we can come up with in values down there. That's my usual preferred method of saving salary. Obviously, the Bears are hugely popular this week. They're going to be absolutely monstrously owned at 3,600. So I might have to pivot off of it, but maybe not. I mean, it's a cash game. Maybe you just want to take that certainty. But for me, I really enjoy the Chiefs at $300 cheaper going against Arizona. On the lower end, I could take the Rams for 2,400 against Seattle playing at home.
Yeah, that wouldn't be too bad.
I mean, 2,400, that's just shy of bargain basement, and they are a stellar upfront defense. I think it's almost a no-brainer at that value. Of course, I've been terribly wrong on my defenses all season long.
Yeah, I would say maybe wouldn't mind going with Green Bay for a low end. The one I really like is the Chargers, but they're 3,500. They're kind of high.
Yeah, I don't really. I mean, I could get behind Chargers. I could get behind Bears if we have the money. But for me, since we've stacking those running backs up there, I think we almost have to go down and take like a Rams at 2,400. They're averaging 9 points a week in DFS scoring, and Seattle is just capable of giving up lots of sacks.
All right, well, let's go there then. We'll go with the Rams and see if we
Sure.
can upgrade later.
And looking at the tight end, I think that if you're going to play that big, it's very difficult to try to fit Kelsey in at 7,000. I do like him, but I think that's a Kareem Hunt game personally. I don't know how much they're going to be forced to rely on Kelsey.
Yeah, my eyes are going immediately down to 3,900 for Burton and 3,800 for Hooper.
Yeah, I like both those guys a lot. I think Jack Doyle is going to be very under-owned at home against Jacksonville. I mean, Eric Ebron's the number 4 tight end on the year, and that was with Doyle out, and you know that Luck loves his Jack Doyle. So
Yeah.
I don't know, I can get behind that. But yeah, I think I like Hooper and Burton quite a bit in these matchups. Looking further down, I don't know that I like really anybody unless you really got to take a shot on something low end just to save salary. You could take a look at a guy like Cameron Braid, or you could take a look at Hill, Josh Hill in New Orleans. At the very low end.
Yeah, I'm torn. I think for me, I think it's Burton or Hooper. I mean, I'm at a coin toss. Do you have a preference between the two?
Yeah, between those two, I'm probably a Trey Burton guy. The Lions have an issue covering tight ends.
All right, let's throw him in and see if we where we go. Okay, you want to go to receiver?
Yeah, let's pick our quarterback and see what we have left to play with. So my go-to so far this week, I'm telling you, is Philip Rivers, $6,000 even, playing against the terrible Oakland D. He's averaging 22 points a game, and at $6,000, he's reasonably priced below the guys like Mahomes and Rodgers, Breeze, Ryan. He's my favorite guy for cash, but I could be talked into other guys. I mean, Breeze is only $300 more. Matt Ryan is only $200 more.
Well, you were predicting Jared Goff to have a good passing week.
Yep, Jared Goff too. I just can't quit looking at Philip Rivers for some reason. I just think
Yeah,
he's
I
going to have
really
a
like Rivers in cash
good
this
game.
week, and I like stacking him with Melvin Gordon.
Oh, absolutely. Because Gordon catches a ton of balls out of the backfield. Plus, he's the only threat on the ground.
Right. All right. Well, let's throw him in and head to receivers.
Fantastic. Well, we got 5,050 left for a piece for 3 receivers and a flex. So it's going to pretty much price us out of playing any of these top end guys, but let's talk about him for a minute. I like Julio Jones to have another big game. You know my love for Michael Thomas this week. He is probably my number 1 wide receiver play this week. If you're not going to go high end in your running backs, get Michael Thomas into your lineups.
I agree with that. And Devontae Adams, I really like him this week against Miami.
Absolutely. We have split decisions against Boyd and Hill. I like Hill. You like Boyd.
Yep.
Keenan Allen I like too, but until he actually starts scoring touchdowns, it's hard to pay for him.
Yep.
If you want another passing guy in that offense, you look at Ty Williams or Mike Williams.
And you're in love with Robert Woods this week.
I do like Robert Woods this week. I think people are going to be really heavily owned on Cooper Kupp because of the relationship he's had with Goff so far this year. But Seattle's strength is that nickel corner and the linebackers that can cover the middle. And I think that Cooper Kupp has kind of a bust game comparatively to his ownership.
All right. What about these mid-range guys?
So looking through these mid-range guys,
Ridley, Ty.
Yeah, I like Ty a lot. I like Ridley a lot. looking a little further down, now we like Scantling as long as Cobb doesn't play. I even like Christian Kirk. That Kansas City offense is not great, and Christian Kirk has a good relationship with Rosen, and he could have a good game. And I also like Deshaun Watson to have a bounce back game against Washington.
Oh, I'm torn on who to play down here.
I like Traquan Smith. He's also getting some nice targets against that Cincinnati offense, even though I love Michael Thomas. If you want a piece of Drew Brees, Traquan Smith is still under $5,000, and he's the number 2 receiver in New Orleans.
All right, well, why don't we throw him in, save some salary?
Mm-hmm. Do you want to touch Corey Davis, as you said, one of the highest owned players of the week in projections?
I don't mind him in cash.
But there's a reason for that. He's 4,500.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. But then you also have Tyrell Williams if you want to put any kind of a stack together. Not necessarily necessary in cash, of course. But if you think it's going to be a big game, it doesn't hurt.
I'm not interested in a Charger receiver. I think just stick with Gordon.
And man, did we predict Devontae Parker would be a bust in the second week after his breakout, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we told
absolutely.
everybody. He had 1 catch on 2 targets after having 6 for 134. So bad.
Okay, so
yeah, I mean that's all I have in kind of the middle range there, man. I mean, everybody else I like is low end bargains.
Yeah, we're talking cash, so we want a high floor. I'm kind of looking at Christian Kirk. I mean, he's pretty much 13, 14 points a week.
Yeah, I like Christian Kirk quite a bit. I think it's a good matchup for him. I do want a little piece of that Arizona offense because Kansas City's defense just isn't fantastic, obviously.
A lot of these players are just hit or miss.
Yeah, I think, honestly, let's just take a peek. Let's put these kind of middle of the range guys in. I put in just to see what would happen. I put in Traquan Smith, Corey Davis, and Christian Kirk, and it leaves us with 6,200 in the flex. So, I mean, I don't mind that lineup. We can look a little lower if you don't like Smith, and look down a little further in that range. And the guys that I like on the bottom end, I like John Ross to get a run. New Orleans has a problem covering deep, and John Ross is one of the fastest guys in the league, and he's going to be the number 2 receiver in Cincinnati this week at 3,900. Not a fan of Hogan. Don't like Humphreys this week. Maurice Harris is interesting after a breakout game playing against Tampa Bay.
Yeah, he needs to repeat it before I play him.
Yeah, I mean, our buddy there, Kris, liked Jordy Nelson on the week. I just don't know if I can pull the trigger on him. But he's not bad at 3,800 as the technical number 1 receiver in Oakland.
Now, like I said, we need high floor guys, which is kind of why I don't like Corey Davis. I mean, he had a 12-point week, but for the most part, he's around 4 points a week. He's okay. I think I'd rather play TY instead of Corey Davis.
Yeah, problem with TY is he costs a little bit more, and that's really, but that's all right. I mean, I do kind of like Traquan Smith, T.Y. Hilton, Christian Kirk. That's kind of a nice middle of the road lineup there. And if we did that, it leaves $5,000 in your flex spot, which allows you to take a peek at guys like Aaron Jones, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Taylor Gabriel, Deshaun Jackson, Jalen Richard. So there's lots of different options if we go that way to leave $5,000 left. So I don't know. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So then we're looking at Rivers and Gordon and Hunt. We're looking at Traquan Smith, Hinton and Kurt and Trey Burton, and then leaving about $5,000 left to pick a flex player of your choosing.
Yep, I like it.
That's not bad at all, man. Well, I got to get back to doing a few things around the house here and finish up a few things for work. And so I got to get out of here, but I'd like to thank I'mABeerHound.com for being our sponsor of the year. And I'd also like to thank Bagel Bites because, if pizza's on a bagel, you can have pizza anytime.
That sounds good. I'm starving. I think I'm going to go make some lunch.
I love it, Mark. We'll see you Monday, for a quick Monday night preview.
Absolutely. So thanks for joining us. This is Draft for Upside, and We will talk to you later.